How do they look?
I get it.
Those people look okay? How do I look? Okay. I'm glad. Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you, those of you who are joining on Zoom. This is another a training session for monks that is called Mondo. It's a Japanese word, and I think it just means discussion or talking. I'm not sure what the Japanese is for that. Pardon the throat clearing. So based, so my apologies. So based on your understanding, many years of studying, being on the spiritual path for many, many years, and being on the path studying the Buddha's Dharma for many years also, what is your understanding, not just reciting something I've said or something you've heard in the teaching, something in your own words, your own perception of what this is, what is the basic issue that human beings have? Two things the human beings have before they even enter the Dharma. What is the basic difficulty that they may not even be aware of, that most beings, you can use examples of people in your family or people you know, that different places that are that you've met that have no mind training at all. How would you describe or define that, possibly contrast it to the difficulty they have or they're having in their ability to cover it up or not cover it up, and people who are practicing the Dharma, who've been maybe training in this way for years, that are still having difficulty? Can you characterize those two? Take as long as you want.
I think we're all refusing whatever is showing up. And some of us are aware of it once we enter the path, and some of us are not. So we go to war, or we grasp, or we ignore whatever shows up. And it can be a thought, or it can be a behavior, it can be what we perceive as another person. We just don't like whatever it is. It's for the most part, we don't like what shows up.
Is that true of just non-practitioners, people who are just living their life according to their hopes and fears and desires and so on, and those who are endeavoring to see more clearly their true nature?
People who are not on the path, or at least this spiritual path, are trying to manage, control, manipulate whatever is showing up. They push it away, they distract themselves.
Are they blaming their conditioning or how they've been treated or their trauma?
They may. They may blame others. They may blame their history. They may blame their biology. But on the path, we're aware of that, and the primary difficulty is continuing to look at it, returning to looking at it, and returning to the practice to strengthen the awareness and see how much we try to manage, manipulate, create awareness, manufacture awareness. And that's not what the path is about, but we get to see that until, well, there's no until.
No.
Peter?
More? Do you have any more? So on the mundane path of most human beings that don't have a particular spiritual path, on the mundane path, are they successful at, are many of them successful at working with the difficulty of life in some way that helps them to feel better and live a more uplifted, happy life?
Yes. Many are able to distract themselves.
There's something,
Peter has to be muted. I don't know if you want to mute yourself, Peter.
Maybe Deb.
Oh, Deb,
I
it's
don't
Deb,
see
not
Peter
Peter,
anymore.
sorry. Sorry, Peter. You're okay. It's Deb
not
that's,
responsible.
Deb that needs to be muted.
No, it's Deb's computer needs to be muted. Deb can say anything she wants. Come on, please. More about that if you haven't. That's an interesting area. That you can actually use the mundane path, the relative path, to actually, you use that to see your true nature.
What you think is your true nature. There are definitely other spiritual paths that you could follow and eventually maybe see your true nature.
So what's the difficulty in the spiritual path as you understand it, having been practicing it, not only in the Christian contemplative tradition, but also the Buddhist meditative tradition? What do you see the difficulties are, either for you or for others?
There are many. You could have difficulty on whatever shows up, what you have to look at. You could have difficulty with boredom and doubt. So it seems like there are many, I don't know if you'd call them phases, but many things that can arise that can cause us to want to give up on the path, especially the teaching that there are no results. There is nothing to fix. There's only something to see. That is so difficult. And then to follow a teacher who lives out their karma, who doesn't necessarily look the picture of enlightenment.
You
But
know
yet-
somebody like that?
My teacher,
So you don't think your teacher's enlightened?
I do, to the point of being, the word that comes up is faithful, but living out your karma, even though your karma is not particularly pretty at times. It doesn't look like what some people expect an enlightened person to look like.
How so?
You can get mad. You
I
can
can get mad.
behave in a way that is counter to what we see coming out of Thich Nhat Hanh and the Dalai Lama.
So do you think that they're better than I am?
They're living their karma out. It's just your karma is
You're not gonna bite there, are you?
different.
How so? That's a very good statement. How is it different? Not that you know either one of those gentlemen personally, and you appear to know me personally.
I would just say that the expectations are that you'll be good and kind and ethical and be an upholding citizen, and that's not necessarily what shows up for you, or at least others' perception of what good and kind and upholding citizen and ethical looks like.
When you say ethical, do you mean living up to ethical standards, or do you just mean, or do you mean something else other than that?
Living up to ethical standards,
Is there a possibility of being ethical without living up to standards?
yes.
How would you characterize that?
Situational ethics. So whatever
Are you
arises.
talking about the philosopher Bonhoeffer or something else?
I'm not familiar with Bonhoeffer's situational ethics. I am familiar with watching you be true to your karma with whatever shows up.
Can you say more about that? I don't know if people are understanding what you're pointing at there.
If a student needs teaching that they might be uncomfortable with, you're going to give it to them if you perceive it's the right, not even that, I can't describe it without,
You're going to say if it's the right thing to do? You kind of self-corrected there. What were you correcting?
the word choice.
What other word would you use?
I don't know, that's the problem.
Does the teacher know?
I don't know.
Does anyone know?
It seems indescribable.
What kind of knowledge is that knows but doesn't know?
Not knowing until whatever shows up.
What's the other word for that?
It could be dependent origination.
What would be the personal word for that? You don't have to respond. Doesn't start with a Q. There, I gave you a hint. Now what?
I have no idea. There's not too many words that start with a Q, and I have no idea. Quiet.
No, it doesn't start with those.
Quintessence.
It doesn't start with those. I told you, I've given you a hint. It does not. I'm going to eliminate the alphabet one by one.
Oh, it doesn't start with a Q.
It does not start with a
Oh,
Q.
I thought you said it does.
Ask me what letter it starts with.
What letter does it start with?
What is it?
It's unknowing.
It's close, very close. Unknowing is very close. Well, how can you make a movement to do something if you're unknowing? How would you get up and move or sit still through unknowing? Is there another word for that?
You have the intention to see what this is, and
Okay, I'll help you more. Do you choose to get up?
no.
Then what is it? You feel like you've been stuffed in a closed hamper?
Yeah, I don't know. I've used all the words I know to use. Dependent
I'll
origination,
tell you what,
karma.
it's choiceless. We don't make any, one who sees clearly does not make choices. They appear like they're making very definite selective choices about everything, but they are not. Things just occur and they don't object, nor do they agree, nor do they ignore. How's that? Now tell me
That.
what did I just say?
Well, what was the question? I can't even remember what the
I'm
question
asking
was.
you if that can be realized. Can you realize that?
Well, there wouldn't be anybody there to realize it. So there's
So what is there? There's still a body there.
consciousness,
What's here?
consciousness.
What else?
And an ego, which is just a part of consciousness, a solidified part of consciousness.
Yes. How
A body.
How do you work with that ego? You trying to get rid of your ego?
No,
Why not?
because the teaching is to see the ego. Nothing needs to be fixed. Everything's perfect as it is. So just need to observe, see.
Those are a bunch of concepts. Well, how would you actually see that you don't have to do anything? When everybody's insisting that you shouldn't do this, you should do that. Society, the whole world is clamoring. Literally billions of people would be happy to tell you what to do next, including the people in this room, including this person.
I don't know how to describe anything that doesn't sound like the teachings from you or from the Dharma.
Okay. Anything else? Anything from any of you for her or for me?
Shui Wu bowing. What is wisdom?
Wisdom is not separate from compassion. Wisdom is wisdom. It's the unknowing that we talked about here. It's openness, space, consciousness only. There are many concepts that point to wisdom. I assume you're talking about like fundamental wisdom, not a relative wisdom. It's something that you have already. You are already. If you follow these teachings, you will cover it up less, no results guaranteed. You will not do anything unless you have to. But it takes seeing that this is not a solid, separate self. This is consciousness only and not separate from anything else. Is that helpful?
Any further questions in here?
Noble link bowing. So how do you see that, and have you seen that? No separation.
I have definitely not seen that. I think at times we get glimpses of it. I don't know if that's even possible, if it's more a glimpse of a concept about it, or the teachings. Yeah. I was just going to say that if I saw it, there wouldn't be anybody here to see it. So I can't tell you that I saw it.
Noble bowing. Forgot my question. So are you just trusting that this is the case? Since you are telling us that that we can see this?
It's a very good point. I mean, am I just regurgitating the teachings? Is there a relative sense of bodhicitta or Buddha nature that gives me confidence about this path? And I'm not swamped by doubt today?
Noble bowing. How do you know you haven't seen it if there's no one to know?
Mm-hmm. It's a very good point. I don't know, and not seeing it is probably more about an ego wanting to be right.
Chokoda bowing. Your name Kandrama. We're told that means she who moves through space. What moves through space?
Nothing moves through space, but someone sure thinks it does.
Okay.
Anyone else in here? Questions? You haven't been here long enough to ask a question.
Oh, that's going.
How was work?
Uh,
Long?
it was long, but it wasn't anything particularly trying.
Good.
Yeah.
So now you
Just
can
had to
ask
be
her,
there. Someone
you can
had to
ask
be
her a question.
Yoga bowing. How does the concept of space help you to look or observe and receive on the cushion?
Maybe helps me to see that the teachings point to a lot of space around whatever shows up. And there's a sense that I equate openness with space. That there can be something more that's showing up than what is actually showing up. And that space is not separate from whatever is showing up. So there's just a lot of different ways to consider what space is and how it's different than something that appears solid.
Yoga bowing, does the space, looking at the space, ever cause you to shut down?
Maybe, I can't think of a time that it has. Do you have an idea of when space is frightening?
Yoga bowing, I'm thinking, yeah, like agoraphobia, or is that actually space when you're seeing that kind of paranoia show up?
I think a lot of that is more about what you're thinking about what is showing up rather than observing what is showing up when you talk about agoraphobia. But there might be a sense of physical fear. Sokuzan's talked about being claustrophobic. My dad was claustrophobic. So there is a lack of space, and it's a physical sensation. I've never experienced a fear of open space.
Any questions from anyone on Zoom for Kandima?
Yes, James.
James Bowen. Uh, how do you try to not be satisfied with things?
I don't try to not be satisfied. Or if I do see myself doing that, I just observe it. So it's not about fixing anything. It's about seeing it, which might be really uncomfortable. Being unsatisfied with the way things show up. Go ahead.
James Bowen. Do you think spaciousness creates a comforting spot to rest your ego in?
It certainly could. But again, nothing to fix, just something to observe.
James Bowen. Do you ever try to knock your ego out of spaciousness so that it doesn't, fall asleep there?
No, the teachings are to observe, not to fix, not to meddle, not to manage, not to manipulate, but to observe. So it's not to say that I haven't tried to do all of those things, but I guess maybe less so, or a less awareness of maybe some of the more subtle ways I do that.
James Bowling. What what are the kinds of virtue?
What are the kinds of virtue?
Yeah, I know at least there's the virtue in not going to hell, but what are the other ones?
I think that gets into the philosophical area, James, and there's so much to sink down into in terms of virtue, and what we're told to do is to just watch what shows up. Don't go searching, but observe what shows up and observe how we do not like it, we push it away, we love it, we grasp onto it and dive into it, and we ignore it, we distract ourselves.
James Bowling. What's a distraction?
For me, I like to watch birds. I like to do a lot of different tasks. So get different things happening on my task list. And so I could treat those as distractions, or I can be aware of whether I'm treating it as a distraction or if I'm actually aware of what I'm doing. So go ahead.
James Bowling. What do you think the role of misplaced skepticism is in understanding the Dharma?
Well, doubt is something that I'm familiar with, and it comes and goes. And so it's just something to observe, not turn away from. It might be reading some books. Sokuzan has several books where people are taking issue with the Dharma or with a teacher. So it's, there's some learning that we can do there, but again, only if it shows up in our path.
James Bowling. What about doubt in the case where something's been fully explained? Is that doubt, in a sense, wrong?
No, nothing's wrong. Nothing can be wrong. So it's something just to look at. It's not about understanding. I feel like I'm parroting Sokuzan's. You've taken issue with that word with me, but I don't see where it's about understanding. It's about being with. It's not uncommon for me to not understand what somebody just said or what we just read, or to go in and out of a sutra that we chant a couple times a week, to sometimes understand it, sometimes don't understand it.
Take one more from someone else there.
Okay, is there another question from someone else? If not, we'll do something different.
Yes, we will. No other questions? Okay. Could you take Novalinka's place? Could you come up, please? You got it all.
Oh, you'll
done?
want it to.
I'll take this warm one.
Okay.
Put a cold one on top of it.
Yeah,
Really cold.
I like the hot seat.
Jump on the cold seat, the hot seat, I mean. So in a couple of words, or a sentence or two, what is your basic understanding, similarly to what I asked Kandram about, the way the world in general is confused, and the way practitioners who have been practicing for a long period of time are still working with confusion in some way? Can you say a couple of words about those two areas, please?
I think we talked about this a little today in the book study. It seems to me that the core issue is that people are believing what they think, and they are we're attached to our bodies and our ideas, and we think other people are different, and that there's a right and a wrong way to do things, and we want to be right.
It's true for the mundane path of the world in general. It has no particular spiritual path. How does that differ from people who are still having difficulty or suffering, even though they've been practicing this for many years? Could you differentiate a little bit there?
I think those who have been practicing are at least a little open to looking at the belief, to looking at the reality of what's appearing in front of them, and they have heard that things are illusory, so they are looking at that in some way, probably. It just seems to be a little more open, but a lot of those people are also still believing their thoughts and are attached to especially to their physical form and their ideas.
So you do a lot of work going into prisons and talking to inmates in the Michigan Department of Corrections. And could you say maybe a couple of words about how that's valuable to your practice and how you perceive that you might be helping others who are trapped in that kind of a dynamic?
It's helpful to my practice in being with things and being with people as they are and trying to meet them where they are, as you teach, and trying to understand where they're caught and how I might say something. And this is a lot of thinking, which doesn't always show up when I'm talking to them, but trying to teach the Dharma in a way that will be most helpful to them. So sometimes it has to do with their level of learning or their particular reason that they're there, or just the way I perceive that they're interacting. It helps me in that way a lot, and it also helps to deepen my practice and confirms for me that I do need to practice.
So you led at 3:00 this afternoon. You led a chant that we do on every full moon and new moon. And today is, of course, new moon in Aries, for those who would like to know that. And so you led that sadhana, which is about somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour long, depending on how fast we go. And you've been doing that for a while. And as I recall, you spent 30 days in a solitary retreat just working with that sadhana of Mahamudra. And how long ago was that you spent 30 days in solitary retreat with that?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Okay.
It might have been a little longer, I'm not sure.
Okay, and so that's as we said, and as people know, and you could say more about it if you wish, but that's a sadhana that was written by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, I think in a cave in Bhutan, Padmasambhava's cave, and I think it was 1968. Is that true? 68?
Sure.
Somewhere in that area, late 60s. And he wrote that, and I've been practicing that for a long time, and we've been chanting that sadhana. Can you say a few words about how that sadhana helps you, and also maybe how it is challenging for you, or make any commentary you want?
Yeah, it's helped me in such an unexpected way in the retreat.
Did you chant that every day for
I
30
chanted
days?
it every day, yes.
How many times each day?
I chanted it once a day, and then I later went into a 2-week retreat where I chanted it twice a day.
Okay.
But this...
What did you
this-
do the rest of the day? Just kind of hang out?
Yeah. Hang out on the cushion.
Yeah, so you meditated. How many hours did you do sitting meditation?
It was 8 hours a day.
Plus you did the sadhana.
The sadhana sometimes was included
Okay,
in that.
and I left that up to you as I recall.
Yeah, but I found the sadhana was, I could give an example of what
Please do.
helped. Was there's a part in the sadhana that says all this doubt that wisdom exists within one and other dualistic thoughts. All these I offer for the feast. I offer, and then it goes on. I don't remember all the other words, but I had been rather upset that night and like, this is hard. I don't like this. And all of a sudden it just hit me that that's my offering.
That's your offering.
That's what I have to give. And I just, yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
very helpful.
So since we're on that, only one person online here joins us regularly, that's Jishin. I would invite all of you to come in once every couple months. You don't have to do a 30-day retreat or anything yet. But I would invite you to come and participate in this sadhana. It's a very powerful sadhana. As I said, I've been doing it Actually, I've been doing it over 50 years, at least once a week, maybe, or every couple weeks. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration. I've done it a lot. And so it's a very, very powerful sadhana with really strong tantric images in it. If you want to have some introduction to Tantra without actually taking up a tantric practice yourself, that would be a really good way to step into it slowly, because it takes a while. So you're invited. That happens every full moon and new moon, and it is announced. And as far as I'm concerned, and I happen to be the guiding person here, you can come and go. You can come in for 10 minutes and leave. You can come at the beginning and do the whole thing. You can do part of it and leave. You can come in late. I don't care how you do it. But I would invite you to do it. And that being said, you're not required to do anything. Do whatever you like. Anything else you'd like to offer around any of those topics?
Oh, I just wanted to add about the sadhana that I don't really understand what's happening when we chant it, but it's very powerful.
I don't understand it either. As I've said on many occasions, not necessary to understand. Understanding is the purview of ego, and it will use that to prevent you from seeing your true nature. So just receive everything, no matter how it looks, sounds, smells, tastes, touch, thinks, or speculates. Just receive. Thank you. Take that gentleman's place right there. He doesn't have to get up. Yeah, better.
Which side is less sweaty?
The cool side.
I want to be cool. Make a big mess.
Chokadawa, so you've been practicing for well over 20 years, sitting meditation, practicing the Buddha's Dharma. And how is this showing up for you the way the world in general, most of the people you know that are not practitioners, how are they dealing successfully, unsuccessfully, or whatever comment you want to make on that dynamic, even people who are on a kind of possible spiritual path, then, and compared to or possibly contrasted with how people on this path, including yourself, how you've been working with negativity since you entered the path, not only yourself but others too, working with the three poisons.
People who are, what we say, not on a spiritual path. have a lot of assumptions about what success looks like, what's right and wrong, how to do things the right way, sometimes in line with cultural conditions and sometimes against them. And I feel the same way about people on a spiritual path, based on my own experience. That's still there for me. I still find myself, I find things that I assumed that I didn't realize I was assuming, beliefs I didn't realize I had. And so a person who maybe isn't on a spiritual path would immediately, from the way it looks, they would try and fix that, which I also do on the spiritual path. However, there's been a lot of encouragement and space around not fixing things or watching how we try to fix things. And that part, although it can be difficult, is quite liberating in that you don't have to fix things, but you also don't have to stop fixing things. And there's a lot of other areas around that, but that's kind of in a nutshell of the support that this path can give someone.
Anything else in that area?
What's coming up is an appreciation for either type of person. I work with a lot of people who have spiritual paths that are either different than ours or none at all, and I have family members with no spiritual path apparently, and I have a lot of appreciation for them as they are, and I really don't think they need to be on this path unless it comes out of them. And it's maybe taken me a while to see that.
Anything else you'd like to offer?
Just gratitude for Sangha and teacher and Dharma.
You have gratitude to the people who have gotten upset with the Sangha here and the teacher here and left? Why would you have gratitude for them?
Because it's a teaching. It's a heartbreaking teaching. And it teaches so many different things that one has to see for oneself. Yeah. Like how idealizing something is going to lead to disappointment. Believing our thoughts, believing stories, believing other people's stories, and how that arises here. And the pain that is felt here when apparent others have done that, have turned around and blamed and gossiped, is, I don't know the right word, maybe a deterrent or a fuel for the path to see that I wouldn't want to harm someone that way. To believe my own thoughts in such a way that it's harming others. But another heartbreaking thing about that is it's most likely occurring that way, even when I can't see it.
Any other thing you'd like to offer? Thank you. Mielka, would you come up, please? Can we run over time a little bit, or not? Not at all? How about 2 minutes? You got 2 minutes. What do you got to say in 2 minutes?
Thank you, teacher, for inviting me here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming, even if you're late. Had to work over where you're driving a forklift.
Yes.
How was that?
Fun.
Forklift fun.
Yes.
Okay. So, say something about your understanding of the way people have confusion. You know a lot of people outside of the path, outside of the practice. You've also been practicing for many years, what, 20 plus, something like that? Long, long time. You've been a monk for how long?
About 4 years.
4 years, and you've lived in this monastery, what, 9 years?
Same, 4 years, but I've been coming
Or
a lot
8 or 9
for
years?
9 years, yeah.
Okay, so what would you say about, you understand I've asked a similar question for what's happening with people, how they solve their issues, their problems, their passion, aggression, ignorance, pushing, pulling, shutting down in the mundane area with some success, some failure, some neutrality, and then also how that shows up for people on the path who some have been practicing a long time and they just run into some kind of a headwind, if you want to say something impersonal about it. But could you say something about your understanding of those two? You've had a lot of experience of both of those, as you all have.
Yes. The first thing that came to mind when you asked the question was accomplishment. It looks like society trains us to accomplish and succeed and to do educational activities and trainings to accomplish. So I think that carries over when we start a spiritual practice, that we also think that's the way things work. And so we kind of fall into that without even really realizing that there is other ways to practice on a spiritual path, as you emphasize, training awareness. And I think there's a lot in society and work and education and families and ancestral stuff that goes all the way back that teaches us to try to succeed and progress and do better.
So what's happening with people, possibly yourself, possibly other, maybe people who are right here, maybe with this teacher, maybe, or people who have sprung a leak, so to speak, and just can't stay in the boat, can't stay in their own boat anymore.
I think on the path, the more we sit, the more we look at all the ways that we can distract ourselves and cover up what's right in front of us with what we've been taught and what we've been told by our parents. And so we may think we are achieving and accomplishing and improving when we may be missing a lot. And when we start to see what we're missing, I think that can get, it seems like it would be helpful, but it can also be very frightening to see how much and embarrassing also. I think I feel embarrassed a lot by what or ways I've responded to situations and people and relationships. As I've looked at that, as I've practiced, I see that there's so many ways that what should be apparent or what is apparent is not really anything more than a lot of confusion.
Well said. Anything else?
I think if anybody's here listening, all the people here listening, as you say, train your mind, I think it's really important. And I don't know why. I see that I continue to do it, and something calls me to the cushion or calls me to look at what this is as best I can.
Here for a minute or two up here?
Sure.
Is that okay? I saw you looking at your clock. So, along the lines of what I've been asking about people in general all over the place who don't seem to have any direction, or the ones that have kind of direction, but it's not a spiritual path in the way we're working with it here. It's more about a belief in something, perhaps. Tends to help people, actually helps people quite a bit. They just pray a lot and believe in the theistic tradition. Sometimes in the non-theistic tradition, but usually it's theistic. That situation, a relative mundane area of fixing, correcting, that and what's happening here, where you're asked to just watch it and observe it, be aware of it. Anything you have to say about it?
It reminds me of the power of belief. How it can destroy your entire life to believe in something, or it can seemingly heal your entire life to believe something else. And when we look at it here, it's just a cover-up. It's the end of exploration. And so we have to sit without those reference points, without those ways to seek comfort.
And so what about the path as it shows up for you, or others that you, in the community, in the Sangha, that you've known or are still here, or whatever's happened? How does that dynamic show up there? What keeps you going on this path?
I don't know what keeps me going on the path.
Certainly isn't a success, right?
I just, like Myoka said, feel called to be here and do this. But I find that certainly from this ego's perspective, I'm always trying to maneuver my life in a hedonistic way of what feels good and avoiding what doesn't. And
Have you been corrected about that?
though I try to correct myself, thinking that in correcting myself, I will still find what feels better.
I see you have a sense of humor about that.
And just the attachment to my identity is the cause of most of my suffering.
Anything else to offer?
My blood and guts.
What?
My blood and guts.
Okay. I receive that. Receive that. Thank you. Appreciate you very much. Appreciate all of you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And appreciate you on Zoom for attending this small community. It's small, but it's still a community. And if you're here tonight, you're part of it. So thank you.
And you have to sing happy birthday to Chokadawa.
Now, it's Chokadawa's birthday, so we always sing happy birthday to anyone who has a birthday. This is your third one this year, though, isn't it? Okay, who's gonna lead the?
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Chokadawa. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday
To
to you.
Okay, now we have to go back into our formal ritualized activity.
And dedicate the
We're
mayor.
gonna dedicate the merit. Sounds good.
May the merit of this penetrate into all places, so that we and every sentient being together can realize the Buddha's way. Jiro-san shi-ishiku, shi-son-gu-sa moko-sa. The 10 directions, the 3 times, all Buddhas, all venerable ones, Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, the great Prajna, Paramita. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, please hear us. Please come down out of the light and protect Sokokoji Buddhist Temple Monastery, our Sangha, families, friends, and visitors. Heal everyone who is unhappy, sick, or suffering, and fill them with light.
Long way up.
We will wish you all a happy evening. We will
Happy Chokadawa birthday.
be going to have Sokuzan's birthday tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So food's on at 1 if you could make it. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.